What's up, guys? Welcome to our channel, Honest Hockey Takes. I'm Hohen and this is Scott, and today it is Fantasy Friday.
Yeah, that's right, guys. It's that time of the week where we give you some fantasy goodness. And today we're going to be going through our sleeper picks. So what we consider for this video a sleeper pick is any player in Yahoo format who is under 20% owned. All right, guys, so without further ado, I'm going to pass you off to Hohen for our first pick.
Thanks, Scott. And my first pick will be from the Chicago Blackhawks, Max Domi. Max Domi is playing first line power play and power play one and first line with Patrick Kane, and I think that's a no-brainer. He's for some reason he was like a fourth liner when he was in Carolina last year in the playoffs, but now he's playing on this crappy team, Chicago Blackhawks. He's been promoted to the first line, everything. So just based off the pocket of opportunity, he's currently 20% owned according to Yahoo. I feel like he's gonna have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of points with Patrick Kane.
Yeah, pretty much anyone who's ever played with Patrick Kane has stacked up the points. It really helps, especially for scoring goals, because, Patrick Kane's one of the best passers of our time. And on top of that, what I really like about Max Domi in fantasy is that his utility is switchable, so he can be a center, left wing, or a right wing, which is absolutely massive, especially for busy days where you have a lot of players playing. My first player I got for you guys here is Jaden Schwartz from the Seattle Kraken. This guy is currently 19% rostered in all Yahoo leagues, and he has 10 points in his first 14 games. What I love about Jaden Schwartz is the opportunity he gets because Seattle is kind of a newer team, and they have a lot of okay pieces, but they don't really have a lot of superstars on this team, if any. So Jaden Schwartz gets all this opportunity, especially on the power play and top line minutes. He's no matter what going to be a top six player, and most likely going to end up as a first line player for most of this season.
Yeah, he is a first line player, and I really liked him last year too when I had him for a little bit there, but he got injured unfortunately, but hopefully he stays healthy this season. But if he stays healthy, I know he's a very productive winger. He's one of the better players on this team for sure. Yeah,
he's like a 65-point pace type player, and he's going to get you power play points, and he also shoots the puck a lot, which is usually really valuable in most leagues.
Yep. And that brings me to my second player, and that would be Kalyn Addison from the Minnesota Wild. So what I really like about this player is that he plays for the Minnesota Wild, and he's 18% owned. And listen, he's quarterbacking that power play one still, which is good.
That's big.
Imagine that, like playing on that power play one with Kaprizov.
Yeah, this guy doesn't actually have to play any actual defense because, he's not great at it. But I will say the fact that he can just get all that opportunity on the power play one, dump it off to Kaprizov, let him do his thing and get a secondary assist. Hey, they all count as fantasy. We're not going to complain about secondary assists.
Yeah, I hope he scores a goal soon. But he's definitely a good passer in that power play unit.
And especially if you need a defenseman, which, if you can get a cheap defenseman like that who's already still on your waiver wire, this late, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, next up I have Shane Pinto from the Ottawa Senators. Now this guy right now can't stop scoring goals. He's already got 8 goals to start the season, and he's added 1 helper for 9 points. Now Shane Pinto has a lot of opportunity here, guys, because Josh Norris is going to be out for a long time, several months right now with injury. That has given Shane Pinto the opportunity to jump up into that top 6 and get a lot of power play time on the power play too. This guy can just take over a game. We've seen it. He's had already so many games with a goal, and he's playing with elite wingers. So that gives him every opportunity as a center.
Yeah, Shane Pinto always surprises me. In the beginning of the season, he just popped out with all these goals, and then eventually he cooled off, and I'm like, yeah, this is the Shane Pinto I was expecting. And all of a sudden today he popped off again. I'm like, man, this guy just doesn't stop. This guy just loves scoring goals. He doesn't know how to stop scoring goals sometimes.
He's a streaky goal scorer, so once he gets going, it's hard to stop the guy.
Yeah.
And if no matter who he's going to get to play with on that team, whether it's like DeBrincat or Batherson or Kachuk, he's going to have some good players to work with.
Yeah, and brings me to my third player, and this will be Victor Arvidsson of the LA Kings. He's currently 16% owned according to Yahoo, but this guy, I think he's right now. Gabe Vilardi is kind of stealing the thunder right now on this team. He's having a really hot start, but I feel that Victor Arvidsson should be motivated, considering last year wasn't really a strong year for him. I fully expect him to kind of come back this year, and currently he's being 16% owned, and I believe he's got the left wing eligibility, which is huge.
So what I really like about Victor Arvidsson, especially for fantasy purposes, is he is like switchable winger. He can play both wings. But on top of that, it's not just that. A lot of people are counting him out because of the injury past he's had. But now that he's back and he's healthy, this is a guy who is quite the volume shooter. He loves to fire the puck. He usually fires the puck 200 plus times a year. And with that, he's got a very good chance at being a 25, 30 goal scorer. So you would never turn that down for a player owned under 20%. All right, next up I have Cole Perfetti from the Winnipeg Jets. This kid is one of my favorite rookies of the year, but it's not just that. For fantasy purposes, he also adds a lot of value too. This guy has already got 8 points in his first 12 games, and what I love about having Cole Perfetti for fantasy is he's getting all the opportunity as a young guy to play with veteran wingers such as Blake Wheeler and also playing with center Pierre-Luc Dubois. Like, this is great company to have if you're trying to put up points because these guys have done it for years. And on top of that, he's getting a lot of action on the power play too. And that's giving him like 45 seconds every time they get a power play to go out there and try to put up some points. This guy's got a shot. He hasn't been using it as much as I would like him to, but I have a feeling as this year goes on, you're going to start seeing more volume shooting from Cole Perfetti as well.
Yeah, he has a really good release, and I feel like he's still kind of getting adjusted, playing.
It's like he's shy a bit.
Yeah, I think he's getting adjusted, getting a feel of how the NHL is like first and then eventually the real Cole Perfetti will really pop off. But as of right now, he's doing a terrific job. The coach is doing a good job with him in terms of giving him the right opportunities, giving him the right minutes. And I like his minutes that he's playing on this team, which is a huge factor to look at when you're looking at key fantasy hockey pickups.
Yeah, opportunity is everything.
Opportunity is everything. And they're putting him on power play opportunities. They're putting him with good players, Blake Wheeler.
Set up to succeed.
Exactly. So that's a good pick. And that brings me to my fourth pick, and that would be Jason Zucker or Zucker, or however you pronounce him, but from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And this player, you know what? I actually really like this player. I know he had some tough years. He's currently only 12% owned, but has good chemistry with Evgeny Malkin. I've seen it many, many years. And this year, he's a 30-year-old player. I believe he's 30 years old. I could be wrong on this, but I believe he's 30 years old from the last time I checked, and he is on his contract year. Usually players on his contract years, they play their best hockey. And then after they sign that contract year, they kind of go away. But right now, he's desperate. He's going to be hungry. He wants this opportunity. Right now, he has 9 points in, I believe, 12 games. So he's, especially with how bad the Pittsburgh Penguins been doing, the fact that he's still scoring with those guys is really good. And he's not even on power play 1 right now. He's on power play 2. So it's really good.
Yeah, for this guy, it's not even that I look at Jason Zucker. I just look at Evgeny Malkin and how well he's been playing offensively. And he looks still really good as an old man out there. He's dominating play, and he's still getting a shizer ton of points. And this guy is someone you want to have your wingers play with. So I think just by the fact that he's playing with Evgeny Malkin, and most likely will play with Malkin the rest of the year at this rate, because they love to put Crosby with Rust and Gunsel. So that gives him every opportunity to put up a ton of points and have a great passer. This guy could be a 25 goal scorer again. And for, 11% owned?
Yeah.
You would take that. So
again, contract year.
All right, the next player I got up here is Lawson Crouse from the Arizona Coyotes. Now, Crouse came off with a pretty nice start for a team that doesn't really score a ton of goals. He's already put up 8 points, and on top of that, this player adds a lot in the way of peripherals. He hits like a madman. This is a very physical player. So at least, even if he's not scoring a ton, he's going to get you some base points just based off hitting alone. But he also gets opportunity on the power play, as well as playing pretty good minutes for this team. He's usually over 17 minutes a game, and for a forward, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, this guy's I like to call him like a semi-truck. He's like a big hitter, big body guy who just hits anything that walks, anything that moves.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
forward.
But at the same time, he can also put the puck back in the net too. Yeah.
No, he's got 6 goals now.
He's a 6 goals. Yeah. And going from one Arizona player to another, I got Matias Maccelli. He is only 1% owned currently in the Yahoo.
This is like a real deep sleeper.
This is a real deep. He's a rookie. But he was in the AHL last year, and
tore it up.
Absolutely killed it. This kid is terrific. He's actually playing on the same line as Lawson Crouse and Bjugstad right now. So these are 2 big bodies that he can kind of hide away from.
Smaller player.
Yeah, and he's a smaller player. He's a quick player. and he has really good skating ability, and at the same time he has elite playmaking skills. I think the way he can find players, it's kind of like Matty Beniers, so he can find players and just feed them that pass. He's like that skilled player on that line.
And speaking of Matty Beniers, this guy is actually tied with Matty Beniers in points for Rookie of the Year, basically, in leading points. That's crazy for a guy who's 1% owned.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like his promise. It's a very deep draft and like deep pickup on this one, but I feel like he can pay dividends. Hopefully he can pay dividends if he continues this trend, or he decides that he wants to put some pucks into the net.
Yeah, this is more of a pick, I'd say, for like 14-man leagues, like a little deeper format, or if you guys have deeper benches, but this guy is definitely worth an ad. My final player here is actually one of my favorite ads. I think this guy is just due for a monster season, and that's mainly because of the chemistry he has with his line mates, and that's Ilya Mikheyev from the Vancouver Canucks. Now, he's only played 11 games to start this year because he was coming back from an injury sustained in the preseason. But he already has 8 points with 4 goals, 4 assists, and he's playing with Elias Pettersson, who is red hot, and Andrei Kuzmenko, who's like one of the best first-year players right now out there. So I think this trio is absolutely dynamic, and I think they could put up a ton of points this year.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that really always stood out to me about Mikheyev is his speed. He's fast player.
He is fast.
He was one of the fastest players on the Toronto Maple Leafs when they had him, and it was very noticeable that they don't have him anymore because their depth, their third and fourth line look much slower without him.
I love watching this line play because this trio together with his speed, Pettersson's shot, and just Kuzmenko's ability to be in front of the net and tip pucks, it's just pretty good. And you could honestly see this guy getting a pretty good amount of goals. I mean, if you look last year at Toronto, this guy was already scoring goals, and he was playing on the third line. He wasn't even getting the opportunity to play with top-tier players like the Marners and Matthews, and he was still scoring goals. So now that he's actually playing with the best players he's probably ever got to play with, he's due for a monster season. And he's only 11% owned.
That's crazy. All right, guys, so that's all we got for this week's version of our Fantasy Fridays. We will see you guys very, very soon in other videos. But until then, we will see you guys next video.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.